Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So today we do have a very special video and I am going to talk about the 3 problems Quique Setien will need to answer at his time at FC Barcelona. And I was going to make a video on what Quique Setien must do to have a successful season this season, but we have had a very unexpected event and we are going to have 1 month of playing all of the remaining La Liga games. And when you do have a very unexpected event, you end up getting unexpected results. And so we honestly don't know how Barcelona is going to turn out this season. And so what I'm going to do in this video is that I'm going to collide this season and the following season together and just make this one big time frame for Quique Setien. And that is why I made up the title, which is the 3 problems Quique Setien will need to answer at his time in FC Barcelona. And so the first key point is going to be to implement the Barcelona B and youth more often. And this has been a very huge problem for FC Barcelona for a very long time. The other reason why I want to bring this key point up is because we honestly don't know who from the youth players are going to be with us in the long run. Like for example, let's look at Real Madrid. They have Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. and Federico Valverde, who are all young players, and we know they're going to serve Real Madrid for a very long time. And then if we look at Manchester City, they have Rodri, Gabriel Jesus and Foden, 3 young, very good players who we know are going to serve Manchester City for a very long time. And we need that. Barcelona does not have that at the moment. And that is something that Quique Setien will need to answer within the next 13 months. So let's look at our list of players, right? Because right now we have Miranda, Todibo, Araujo, Emerson, Elenia, Ricky Puig, Fati, and Trincao. All of these players are going to be in Quique Setien's hands, and it's going to be up to him, and it's going to be his responsibility on how we can implement these players for FC Barcelona. And these 8 players need to be highly tested for next season, because for these 8 players, we can't have these players go into Barca B and then come back to the first team and then go back to Barca B or go into a loan spell. We can't have that for these players. These players are highly talented. We can't keep wasting time. I have named many clubs who are great examples and are doing very well with their young players, and we must do the same. And don't get me wrong, some of these players who we think are going to do well, some of them might fail, but that is what we need to see, right? We need to see these players get more minutes next season, and for some of these players this season, like Ansu Fati, for us to know what these players are capable of, because we will never get these answers if they don't get the minutes. And if Quique Setien does this will greatly pay off in the future. Now, the second key point that I do want to talk about is to solve the problem between these 2 Frenchmen, which is Antoine Griezmann and Dembele. Like, what are their futures going to be at FC Barcelona? Because you and me know, we know that we have no clue what's going to happen with these 2 players or where they're going to be at in 9 to 10 months. And these 2 players are very big stars. They are players that can make a difference in a match. And when the world sees that, these are World Cup winners, these are players who can assist and score goals, we do expect them to serve FC Barcelona well and bring goals and bring world-class displays, which is why everyone is so eager and wants to know what's next for Antoine Griezmann and Dembele. And it will be up to Quique Setien to find that out, because honestly, we haven't found out anything between Antoine Griezmann and Dembele. They haven't done anything. They have showed glimpses, but if we go to Griezmann, right? Griezmann is a player that has been very inconsistent at FC Barcelona. He has a good game here and then he plays bad for 2 to 3 games, and then he comes back again and then disappears for another 2 to 3 games. The other thing I want to point out about Antoine Griezmann is that he is not the number 9 that Barcelona needs. He even stated himself that he cannot dribble, and he does not have that killer instinct that Luis Suarez has. And if he can't provide the dribbling technique and he can't provide that killer instinct, then what is Antoine Griezmann? What can he be for FC Barcelona? And look, I'm going to put in my own selfish needs about Antoine Griezmann. The reason why I want to find this out so quickly, and I know that the Barcelona fans want to find this out so quickly, is because if Antoine Griezmann has no place here, then he can be used for a swap deal or be used to gain cash and buy the more important players like Lautaro Martinez, Neymar Jr., even Timo Werner, or maybe even Sancho. Then I want to move on to Dembele, right? He's a great player. He is actually exactly what Barcelona needs right now, because we do need the width and Dembele does provide that. But the only thing that has stopped him was the injuries, and that has not been stopping since since 2017. And now that we are in 2020 and he has 2 years left in his contract, we're eventually going to get to a point where the Barcelona board and the coaches and everyone in Barcelona is going to have to ask, do we extend Dembele's contract? And the only way to answer that for the club before we do head into the 2021 summer or 2022, Quique Setien will need to set him into the right path, get him in his best physical shape, bring discipline into this player, and give him as many minutes as possible. And believe it or not, I believe that next season, which is the 2020-2021 season, in that season, Setien should make Dembele the top priority in the attack. Because look, it will be very, very disappointing to see him be very healthy. He's in the best shape of his life, but then we put him into the back burner. We forget about him. Quique Setien is like, no, I'm not going to use him. I'm going to use my other attacking options. I'm going to use Messi or Trincao on that right wing. Or let's say he goes on the left wing. Quique Setien might put him into the back burner again and put Ansu Fati or Neymar Jr. over him, whoever's going to be in that spot. And let's say Dembele does decide to move in the summer of 2021 and we let him go and he goes to a new club. And let's say when he does go to that new club, he becomes world class. That's really going to hurt. And most of all, very disappointing. So we need to make Dembele the top priority for next season. I know that he has had enough chances to be somebody at FC Barcelona, but this time Dembele will be under Quique Setien, which means that we will have a new coach, which means a new beginning and a new player will be born. Now, the last key point that I do want to bring up is that I want Quique Setien to give us an answer or like an idea of our next club captains. And I know that this is not fully under Quique Setien's control, but eventually throughout next season, Setien is going to find out like the captains that he's going to tell himself, he's going to say, look, the captains that I have currently are not going to be here forever. 3 out of the 4 captains that we have currently at FC Barcelona are over the age of 31. 3 out of the 4 captains that we have at FC Barcelona are not going to be here in 2 years. And so look, I'm not telling or advising Quique Setien to pick the captains for next season, but what I believe Quique Setien can do is to speak to the players who could potentially be the captains in 4 to 5 years and also prepare them to be the captains in 4 to 5 years. And so let me explain. So Quique Setien could speak to Marc-Andre ter Stegen, and we all know how big of a voice he has on the field. Quique Setien could talk to ter Stegen and say, hey, look, you can speak to your defensive line. If they're not acting well, you let them know that this is what they need to do. And ter Stegen is very good at that. Another player that I believe that Quique Setien should speak to is Lenglet. And I know that Lenglet is young, but he does have those leadership skills. He does have that presence that I really do like. And again, Quique Setien could tell Lenglet and say, look, if you see something off from the backline or someone is not in position, you let them know. And with Quique Setien letting these players have a freedom of speech on the field, letting them know that you don't have to have the armband to say something will be great practice to potentially captain FC Barcelona in the future. And another player that I do want to point out is going to be a very big wild card, but another one could be Frankie de Jong. This man is born to play for FC Barcelona. He has the DNA. He understands the Barcelona system, and when he's placed in the right position, he can be a fundamental player for years to come. And if De Jong can become that architect, the brains of the midfield, similar to what Busquets is right now at FC Barcelona, there is no reason for him to not become a future captain in the future. And so I highly advise Quique Setien to talk to him, let him know, to have that speech, to tell his front line or his midfield that if something is wrong, if something's not going right, you let them know. Get in position, stay in your toes. De Jong can be that player. And look, this key point that I just pointed out is a very unpopular opinion. I know many of you guys are going to say that it should always be a La Masia player to captain FC Barcelona, but you never know. Marc-Andre ter Stegen right now looks like a great captain, and he could be a great captain for the future. And so I think this is a very interesting key point to talk about, and let me know what you guys think. Who do you see captaining FC Barcelona in 4 to 5 years? And let me know what you guys think about these key points. Is there any key points that I did not talk about? Is there some other things that you believe is more important that Quique Setien needs to solve next season? And this is a very important conversation that we do need to have, because Barcelona is not going to have the main core forever, which is Messi, Busquets, and Piqué. Young players need to step up, and we do need to start building captains for the future. And so thank you guys for watching. And if you guys are new here, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.